I thought I knew everything about my son's life, every laugh, every worry, every milestone. I had been by his side through every birthday, every heartbreak, every small victory. So that morning, as I sipped my coffee, I casually asked, "When is the wedding?" I thought it was a simple question, harmless. But the moment my daughter in law looked at me and smiled, my heart froze. "We got married yesterday," she said. My mind couldn't catch up. Yesterday? How could I have missed it? Every emotion collided: shock, disbelief, hurt. My family, my son married, and I didn't even know. I blinked, hoping it was a joke. My son looked at me nervously, avoiding my eyes. I could feel my hands trembling. I tried to speak, but the words refused to form. "Yesterday?" I asked, my voice barely steady. She nodded, a calm smile on her face, like it was the most natural thing in the world. My heart raced, and yet I felt a cold emptiness spread through me. How long had they planned this? Who else knew? Why was I kept in the dark? Every scenario ran through my mind: the invitations, the decorations, the ceremony itself, all gone without me. It wasn't just about missing a wedding, it felt like missing a piece of my own heart. I wanted to be angry, to yell, to demand answers, but instead I sat frozen, caught between disbelief and a quiet, sinking pain that seemed to swallow everything. I forced myself to breathe, trying to collect my scattered thoughts. I glanced around the living room, imagining the wedding photos I hadn't seen, the smiles I had missed, the laughter I would never hear. My son finally spoke, his voice hesitant. I didn't want to upset you. It was supposed to be a surprise. A surprise? My heart twisted further. This wasn't a party, this wasn't a small gathering. It was a life-changing moment, and I had been invisible. Every memory of raising him, guiding him, worrying for him seemed to crash down on me. I wanted to scream, but all that came out was silence. And yet, beneath the shock, curiosity stirred. How had they done it so quietly? Who had witnessed it? Was there something deeper they weren't telling me? That question lingered, echoing in the quiet house, pulling me into a spiral of suspense. I didn't know it then, but this small moment would unravel secrets, emotions, and truths I wasn't ready for, and yet I couldn't look away. I couldn't move. My mind kept replaying her words. "We got married yesterday." It felt unreal, like the room had tilted, and I was suspended in a world that didn't belong to me. My heart raced, my chest tightened, and a hollow emptiness spread inside. How had I missed it? All the mornings I spent worrying, all the nights I had dreamed of this day, and it had passed silently without me. My own son, my child, married, and I wasn't there. Every memory of him flashed before my eyes: tiny hands, first steps, every tear I had wiped away. And now, a wedding I had no part in. I tried to speak, but my voice felt trapped in my throat. My son looked at me with guilt etched in every line of his face. I wanted it to be perfect," he stammered. "We didn't want to hurt you, hurt me." I barely understood. My mind was a storm of emotions: shock, confusion, disbelief, and a piercing sorrow. I wanted to scream, to cry, to shake them both and demand answers, but I couldn't. I felt paralyzed. The room seemed to close in, suffocating, filled with a silence heavier than any words could break. My daughter-in-law smiled gently, oblivious to the hurricane raging inside me. How long had they planned this secret? Who else knew? My parents, my friends, had anyone been invited? Each thought was sharper than the last, slicing through the fragile calm I had left. My heart throbbed painfully as curiosity and hurt battled inside me. I needed answers, yet I feared the truth. I sank into a chair, my hands shaking. Every corner of the house seemed to whisper secrets I wasn't meant to hear. I imagined the wedding, the flowers, the laughter, the vows, and my chest tightened with longing and grief. They had shared the most important day of their lives, and I had been invisible. A cold emptiness filled me, but beneath it, a flicker of curiosity ignited. How had they done it so quietly? Who had stood beside them, smiled, celebrated? And more importantly, why had they hidden it? I realized then that this was only the beginning. The shock had opened a door, and beyond it lay stories, choices, and truths I was not yet ready for. I would have to follow the breadcrumbs they left behind, every word, every glance, every silence, to understand the full story. And I knew deep down that discovering it would bring heartbreak, revelation, and perhaps even a painful kind of closure I wasn't yet ready to face. But my heart had no choice. I had to know. I could barely breathe. My hands gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white, and my mind raced with questions I couldn't yet voice. The words "we got married yesterday" echoed in my ears, louder and louder, like a drumbeat I couldn't escape. My heart throbbed painfully, and my chest felt hollow, as if the life I had known had been replaced by a strange, unfamiliar silence. I wanted to cry, to scream, to shake them both. Instead, I froze, staring at their calm, smiling faces, the faces of people I loved, now strangers in the midst of an event I had no part in. I forced myself to speak. Why didn't you tell me?" My voice cracked, betraying the whirlwind of hurt inside. My son hesitated, eyes downcast. "We didn't want to upset you," he finally whispered, and a fresh wave of shock hit me. Upset me. Was this supposed to justify 4 decades of love, care, and guidance being ignored on the day I had dreamed of most? The room seemed to shrink around me as my emotions swirled grief, anger, confusion, and disbelief. I tried to picture the wedding, my son standing there, smiling, his hand in hers, my absence a void that not even laughter could fill. The thought of the small details I would never see, the vows, the cake, the first dance, stung like a blade. My daughter in law's calm composure only made it worse. Her smile was gentle, yet it felt like salt in an open wound. Every explanation they offered seemed insufficient, every word a reminder of the secret world they had created without me. I was caught between wanting to understand and wanting to turn away forever. I sank into the nearest chair, silent, my mind spiraling. My hands shook as I imagined the wedding, friends, family, laughter, tears, and I was missing from every frame. The emptiness pressed in like a storm cloud, suffocating yet impossible to ignore. And yet, beneath the anger and heartbreak, a spark of curiosity ignited. How had they pulled this off so quietly? Who had known? Were there others complicit in keeping me in the dark? My heart ached with a need to uncover every hidden piece, every secret choice that had led to this moment. I realized this was only the beginning. The initial shock had opened the door to questions I hadn't known I needed answers to. Questions that would lead me down a path of confrontation, revelation, and heartbreak. And though part of me wanted to turn away, the other part, the part that loved them, that raised them, that had given everything, knew I couldn't. I had to follow to uncover the truth of what happened piece by piece, no matter how painful it might be. The silence in the house was heavy, almost suffocating, but it held the first whispers of secrets yet to be revealed, and I knew, deep down, my life would never feel the same again. I couldn't stay silent any longer. My mind was a storm of questions, each one sharper than the last. Why didn't you tell me? I asked again, trying to steady my voice, though it trembled with frustration and hurt. My son's eyes darted to the floor, avoiding mine, while my daughter-in-law's calm smile only made my heart ache deeper. I wanted the truth, every detail, every hidden choice, but I feared it as much as I craved it. The room was quiet except for the ticking clock, marking the seconds I had lost from their lives, seconds I would never get back. My son finally looked up, guilt etched in every line of his face. I didn't know how you would react, he whispered. I thought maybe it was better this way. His words felt like a punch to my chest. Better, better for whom? The weight of years, of love and guidance I had poured into him, pressed down on me. I wanted to cry, to scream, to make sense of the senseless. My daughter-in-law tried to explain gently, but each explanation felt like another brick in the wall between us. How could they decide such an important moment without me? How had I been left out of a day that should have been family? I felt anger rise, then crumble into sorrow, then twist into desperate curiosity. Who else knew? Had anyone noticed my absence? Every scenario replayed in my mind like a slow, torturous film. I sank into the chair, my hands shaking, trying to gather fragments of thought. My eyes lingered on the small details in the room, the wedding invitation I never received, the photographs I would never see firsthand, the laughter I had missed. And yet, beneath the heartbreak, a spark of determination flared. I needed answers. I needed to understand how this had happened, who had been involved, and what secrets had been hidden from me. My son's silence and her calm composure only fueled the suspense, leaving me hanging on every word they might say next. I realized then that this moment was only the beginning. A door had opened, and beyond it lay secrets, choices, and revelations I wasn't ready for, but I couldn't turn away. Each beat of my heart demanded that I follow the trail, piece together every hidden moment, and uncover the truth. The house seemed to hold its breath with me, every shadow whispering untold stories. And I knew deep down the answers I sought would bring both heartbreak and clarity, and the path forward was just beginning. I sat in silence, staring at the empty coffee cup before me, the words "we got married yesterday" echoing relentlessly in my mind. My hands trembled not from anger alone, but from the weight of disbelief, sorrow, and the sharp sting of exclusion. How could they have done this without me? My own son, whom I had guided, loved, and worried over for decades, had hidden a life-altering secret. I felt as though time itself had betrayed me, like years of care and shared memories had suddenly been erased. I wanted to understand, to forgive, but my heart was tangled in a storm I couldn't control. Memories flashed before me. His first steps, the night he cried in my arms, the laughter we shared at birthdays and holidays. All those moments now felt both precious and painfully distant. I wondered what it meant that I wasn't part of this new chapter. Was it oversight, or had they deliberately kept me away? My mind raced with questions, each one gnawing at me like a cold wind. I imagined the wedding itself, the vows spoken, the smiles exchanged, the joy shared with everyone but me. A part of me wanted to be furious, to demand explanations. Yet another part recognized their intent, a desire for perfection, a fear of upsetting me, a hope to surprise and protect. Still, the hurt pressed down on my chest, heavy and unyielding. I realized that understanding them didn't make it hurt any less. It just made the heartbreak more complicated, layered with empathy and pain intertwined. As I sat there, silence enveloping the room, a new thought emerged, a spark of curiosity intertwined with the ache in my heart. What else had I missed? What other pieces of their lives had been hidden in secrecy? My son and daughter-in-law had built a world I wasn't yet allowed to enter, and every secret they held now beckoned me with a mix of dread and longing. I wanted to uncover it all, but fear tightened its grip, the fear of discovering truths I might not be able to bear. Every creak of the house, every shadow cast by the late afternoon sun, felt like a whisper urging me forward, urging me to follow the trail of secrets and hidden moments. And deep inside, I knew that this journey, painful, shocking, and unpredictable, was inevitable. My heart, though heavy, refused to turn away. I had to witness the truths they had concealed, to navigate the heartbreak and surprises that lay ahead, and to find a path toward understanding, even if it would leave scars I might never forget. I realized that the shock and heartbreak I felt were only part of the story. There were two sides to the secret, two perspectives I hadn't yet considered. My son's hesitation, my daughter-in-law's calm smile, both spoke of intentions I could only guess at. I wanted to lash out, to demand why they had excluded me, but I paused. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was more beneath the surface, more reasoning, more fear, more love than I could see in this single moment. The quiet house seemed to hold its breath as I tried to imagine what had driven them to secrecy. I began to reflect on their possible motivations. My daughter-in-law had always been careful, polite, perhaps even protective of me in small ways. Could it be that she feared my reaction? Did they want a day free from arguments, from awkward moments, from my worrying heart? My son, too, seemed torn, eager to celebrate love, yet terrified of disappointing me. My anger clashed with understanding, and my sorrow tangled with empathy. For decades, I had raised him, guided him, and yet I could see now that he was building his own life, his own family, making choices I didn't fully comprehend. I realized that perhaps their secrecy wasn't malice. It was love of a different kind, misguided, yes, but still love. And that realization cut through me almost as sharply as the hurt. I felt the walls of frustration slowly crumble, replaced by a complicated, twisting knot of curiosity and cautious compassion. Despite this budding understanding, the questions kept piling up. What had they done exactly? Who had been there to witness the wedding? Were there other surprises or secrets hidden from me, waiting to be discovered? I could feel the tension building inside me, a mixture of dread and anticipation that refused to let go. The silence in the house became almost deafening, every creak and whisper a reminder that I was standing at the edge of a world I had been denied. My mind raced with possibilities, imagining conversations, hidden messages, and moments frozen in time that I would never fully witness. Yet part of me, the part that loved them, that had spent a lifetime nurturing them, wanted to follow every clue, uncover every hidden truth, and understand the choices that led to this shocking moment. I didn't know what I would find next, but I sensed that the unraveling of the secret would bring both heartbreak and unexpected revelations. And as I sat there, caught between frustration and empathy, I knew that the next step, when I finally confronted the truths they had kept hidden, would change everything. I could no longer sit in silence, paralyzed by questions. Something inside me demanded action. I needed to see it for myself. Slowly, I stood and walked toward the room where I had noticed a small box earlier. My hands trembled as I reached for it. Inside were photographs, small mementos, and a folded envelope, all untouched, waiting. My heart pounded as I realized these were the pieces of a day I had been absent from, a day that should have been shared with me. The shock hit me like a wave. Each image, each smile, was a reminder of the moment I had missed. I lifted a photograph, and my breath caught. My son, radiant in a simple suit, smiling at her across a sunlit garden. Her laughter frozen in the image, beautiful and unguarded, a world apart from the calm explanation she had given me earlier. I felt a sharp pang, joy and sorrow intermingled. They had celebrated, they had lived a lifetime of happiness in that single day, and I had been nowhere to witness it. I unfolded the envelope and found a handwritten note. Her words were gentle, apologetic, filled with love and careful reasoning. They had wanted a small, private ceremony, a day of peace, and a moment without conflict. I could feel the care behind every sentence, but the sting of exclusion remained. Every photograph, every note, every tiny detail whispered stories I wasn't part of, and yet could no longer ignore. I sat with the box in my lap, turning the photographs over, examining every smile, every gesture, every subtle glance. I realized the discovery was more than images. It was a revelation of choices, priorities, and love that had existed without me. Questions surfaced again, sharper this time. Were there moments they had planned for me that never came? Did they anticipate my reaction, and had they truly feared confrontation? Each thought twisted through me, heartache mingling with curiosity, a yearning to understand fully. And yet, beneath it all, a quiet awe grew. I had glimpsed their happiness, even if I was late to witness it. The silence in the room was heavy, almost sacred, as if the house itself held the secrets in careful protection. I understood then that uncovering these moments was only the beginning. The true revelations, the deeper truths hidden in choices and whispers, were yet to be revealed. And I knew, as my fingers lingered on the photographs, that this discovery would change everything: my understanding of my son, my daughter in law, and the life they had quietly built without me. Sitting there, surrounded by the photographs and letters, my heart ached in ways I hadn't expected. Joy and heartbreak collided, a storm inside me that refused to settle. I had seen their happiness, the laughter frozen in time, the vows exchanged, the simple beauty of a day meant to celebrate love, and yet I hadn't been there. The absence pressed against me like a physical weight. I loved them both fiercely, yet I couldn't ignore the sting of exclusion. How could a day so monumental, so sacred, have passed without my presence? The question hung heavy, unanswered, echoing through the quiet house. I felt tears welling, a mixture of sorrow and awe. My son had grown into a man who made choices independently, and my daughter-in-law had navigated a delicate balance, protecting and surprising, yet inadvertently wounding me. I wanted to feel only anger, to demand explanations, to voice every hurt that had accumulated in the shock of learning about the wedding. But another part of me softened, the part that saw their love, their careful planning, their hope for a peaceful moment. I realized that this conflict, this tumult of emotion, was proof of the depth of my love for them. Every smile, every note, every photograph brought a fresh pang of both wonder and pain. I wondered what else had been hidden, what other moments of life I had missed, and whether I would ever be able to reconcile my feelings fully. The house felt heavy, every corner whispering memories I hadn't witnessed, secrets I had yet to uncover. My curiosity burned alongside my heartbreak, pulling me forward even as my chest tightened. I set the photographs down, leaning back with my head in my hands. The storm inside me was relentless, a mixture of guilt, sorrow, and unspoken questions. Could I forgive them fully for this exclusion? Could I accept that love sometimes chooses privacy over ceremony, secrecy over transparency, even at the cost of pain? And more importantly, what other surprises, what other hidden truths were yet to be revealed? My thoughts spiraled, each possibility more shocking than the last. I realized that this emotional turmoil was only the beginning. Every hidden photograph, every letter unopened, every carefully chosen word was a breadcrumb leading me deeper into their secret world. I didn't know what I would find next, but I knew that discovering it would challenge everything I believed about family, trust, and love. And as the shadows lengthened in the room, I felt a cold anticipation. The path forward was unclear, but I had no choice. I had to follow it, piece together the hidden story, and confront every emotion waiting for me just beyond the next revelation. I took a deep breath, letting the weight of shock and heartbreak settle slowly. The photographs, the letters, the quiet remnants of a day I hadn't witnessed, they no longer felt like wounds, but pieces of a story I had yet to fully understand. My heart was heavy, yes, but also opening, stretching toward compassion I hadn't realized I was capable of in the moment of anger and disbelief. I realized then that love was bigger than timing, bigger than ceremony, bigger than the moments I had missed. It was alive, quietly thriving, even in secrecy. I thought about my son, the boy I had raised into the man before me. Every step of the journey, every lesson, every tear and triumph had led to this moment of understanding. And I thought about my daughter-in-law, whose careful smile and gentle hands had shielded me from confrontation, yet inadvertently caused pain. I felt the ache of exclusion, yes, but also a surprising gratitude. They had loved, planned, and celebrated, and the secrecy had not been malice, it had been a form of care. My heart softened with this realization. I understood that life did not always unfold in ways I expected, and that sometimes the ones we love most try to protect us even as they inadvertently hurt us. The mixture of sorrow, relief, and empathy swirled in my chest like a quiet storm, leaving me raw but alive, ready to embrace the truth as it was. Even as I embraced acceptance, curiosity still lingered. There were moments I had missed, secrets I had yet to uncover, and lessons hidden in the choices they had made. I felt a delicate balance of anticipation and hope, anticipation for what else I might discover, hope that whatever lay ahead would deepen the bond I shared with them. My emotions, once tangled in shock and pain, had transformed into a quiet strength. I realized that acceptance was not about erasing hurt or pretending nothing had happened. It was about acknowledging reality, embracing the love still present, and preparing my heart for the next chapter. And I knew deep down that this acceptance would guide me, steady me, and allow me to navigate the revelations yet to come. The house felt alive again, full of potential, secrets waiting to be revealed, and the quiet understanding that family, love, and forgiveness were more complex and more beautiful than I had ever imagined. I sat quietly, the box of photographs and letters still before me, feeling the slow rhythm of my heartbeat return to normal. The storm of shock, heartbreak, curiosity, and tension had finally settled into a quiet understanding. I realized that life often surprises us, not with malice, but with choices made from love, fear, or hope. My son had married, my daughter in law had planned carefully, and though I had been absent from their most private day, their love still existed, and it was stronger than my initial hurt. I understood then that some moments were beyond my control, but love remained. As I reflected, I saw the beauty hidden in the pain. Life didn't always unfold the way we imagined. It didn't always grant us the timing we desired or the acknowledgement we expected. And yet, love persisted. It persisted in choices made quietly, in smiles exchanged privately, in gestures of care that sometimes went unnoticed. I realized that heartbreak and joy could coexist, that absence did not erase love, and that forgiveness was as much a gift to myself as it was to them. My son's eyes, the gentle composure of my daughter in law, and the memories of countless shared moments reminded me that family was not only about presence at every event. It was about connection, understanding, and the quiet strength of love that endured despite surprises, secrecy, and mistakes. Even as I embraced this truth, a small part of me lingered on curiosity. There were still moments I hadn't seen, words I hadn't heard, and stories I had yet to uncover. But now I approached them with a heart ready to understand, a heart capable of both empathy and acceptance. I understood that life would continue to surprise me, sometimes with heartbreak, sometimes with joy, and sometimes with quiet revelations that left me breathless. And that was okay. Because in every surprise, in every hidden truth, and in every secret carefully preserved, there was a lesson. Love matters more than timing, connection matters more than ceremony, and family is defined not by perfect moments, but by the bonds that endure through pain, curiosity, and discovery. I placed the photographs back in the box, closed it gently, and breathed deeply. I was no longer overwhelmed by anger or hurt. I was filled with a quiet strength, ready to follow the path of life as it unfolded, knowing that love, though sometimes hidden, always found its way.